Happy Tuesday. So as promised, I have lost track of what day this is in the group. Um, but I wanted to get on here even though it's not my day to post and share the thoughts that I wanted to share over the weekend. We had a crazy weekend, which, every weekend is a little bit tough when you have 4 kids, but everything kind of hit ahead this past weekend with the beginning of the church year, which if you're not LDS, that probably won't make sense, but I'm primary president, so I'm in charge of 120 kids and 25 leaders. And everything this past Sunday was like restarted, revamped, classes shifted, kids had to be in different places than usual, new themes, new decorations, new like everything started this past Sunday, and it all fell on my shoulders. Or like 80% of it. I do share the responsibility, it's not just me, but I end up being liaison. And anyway, it was a big weekend. Plus my baby got sick, she got croup, and I thought we were in the clear with the illnesses since Christmas, but apparently not. Now my 4-year-old's getting sick. It's going to be a fantastic week. Anyway, so I know this is a secondary post today, and I hope you'll watch it because I think it is worthwhile talking about these topics. And I think it is almost ironic with the couple of weeks I've been having so far. Last week and this week we're in talking about how health and fitness impacts the rest of your life and how it can bleed success into other areas of your life too. So I think it's ironic, good timing, because my life is crazy and my health and fitness is what's keeping me going, to be honest, wholeheartedly. And I'm not just saying that. That is the actual truth. So let me get started. Poor health really does hold you back in a lot of ways, and we could go to extremes on the spectrum, but I'm going to talk about my life personally because that's what I know about. I'm not diabetic, I don't have hypertension, I'm not obese, so obviously these things could be compounded and it could make a bigger impact on someone's life than it has on mine. But even if you're just a normal, average, everyday person, your health and fitness does matter, and it makes a big difference in your overall life and different areas of your life, relationships and everything. So I'm going to tell you some stories, or at least some details from my life. There was a time not very long ago when I couldn't walk. I was in my 4th pregnancy. Sorry, my voice sounds horrible. I was in my 4th pregnancy. My babies sit really low in my pelvis, and this one's head was wedged so deeply into my pelvis during the 3rd trimester that my one hip was positioned out almost 30 degrees. It was a big deal. And, think about like a broom pole or something that's supposed to be straight being twisted 30 degrees. My knee and my foot were also twisted 30 degrees, and I couldn't walk. I also couldn't sit down comfortably. I couldn't cross my legs. Laying in bed was hard. It was just miserable. And there's nothing that anyone could do about it because it was all about the positioning of the baby. And at least in the area that I was living in, that kind of like physical manipulation of where the baby is positioned and stuff, they just really didn't want to touch it. So I did the best that I could with, massage and stretching and ice packs and things like that. But I just still couldn't walk. I was a mess. I could hobble, but I always had a limp. And then after she was born, it got marginally better. I could walk again, but I still couldn't sit comfortably. I couldn't lay down. I had to have my hip manipulated by a chiropractor a few times just to get it back in place. But then if I would like take a step too fast, or if I planted my foot the wrong way and turned, then it would go back to right where it was. And so it was a very painful, obnoxious limitation that I had. But it taught me so much about what it must be like to feel like an invalid, to be older and limited, or to be overweight and limited. I couldn't get on the floor with my kids. I couldn't run with my kids. My kids couldn't sit in my lap. I had to sit like this, like on one hip elevated, like obviously in pain for a really long time. And the only thing that actually helped after, the first 2 months after my baby was born, like I said, I had some relief, but then nothing ever changed beyond that point. So it just kept getting worse and worse and wearing on me more and more. But the thing that actually helped change things was exercising every day. And it seems counterintuitive, But when I would do HIIT exercises, high intensity interval training, I was able to get the blood pumping enough that I could actually loosen up the ligaments in my leg, because it wasn't muscle related. It was because my ligaments have been stretched and torn so much over time with that baby's head there. So I was able to actually get blood flow into the ligaments, which is hard to do if you're just doing yoga or going for a walk. That then I was able to stretch and really make sure that I was doing it correctly and pay really close attention to form and stretch those couple of ligaments that were mistreated for so long and loosen them up. And now I don't walk with a limp, but it took months. It took like 5 or 6 months of intense focus on those couple of things to be able to get to where I could keep my pelvis in line without throwing it back out again unintentionally. And now I've developed enough strength and my ligaments have been back in place long enough that I can go longer without having to do that kind of focus again. But still, I have to maintain my cardio, because if I go too long without it, like when I was sick before Christmas, I went a week without exercising. All of a sudden I had a limp again on Christmas. I got sick on Christmas Eve. So by New Year's, I had a limp again, and it was obvious, and people were commenting about it when I was like grocery shopping and stuff. I was leaning on the cart again, looking like I was, pregnant or an invalid, and it was horrible. But my health and fitness focus helped me to get past that. There was a time, believe it or not, when I was overweight. If you knew me personally, or if you saw pictures of me periodically, you probably wouldn't have noticed. But I noticed. I'm only 5'3". My ideal weight is 119 pounds. I'm a little person. Well, I was up to 160 pounds after my third pregnancy. And well, not immediately after, but within the year after, because I had let loose of my nutritional habits that I worked so hard to achieve, and I was eating chocolate every day, and I was a little bit binge eating for emotional reasons, and I was a mess. I wasn't getting any sleep, which was a really big factor, which is why I was overeating. That was like the root cause of my overeating. Life was actually okay by then, but I had 2 older kids. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to make an earthquake. I had 2 older kids, and that my oldest that year was starting kindergarten. And so I finally had to actually get up at a certain time and be accountable to someone to get him to the bus stop on time, or get him into class on time if I was driving. But my newborn was not sleeping at night. He wouldn't go to sleep until almost midnight. And so then I was sleeping in until 8:30 or 9, because if we were snuggled together in my bed, he would sleep. But he didn't go to sleep until midnight, no matter what we tried. And my husband at the time was still in dental school, so he was getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to exercise and get ready to be, so he could be at school at 6:30. So I was literally not getting any sleep. I would be up with the baby all night long, and then my husband would get up early, and then I'd go back to sleep and try to sleep for a few hours until the older kids woke up. But William had to be at school at 8 o'clock, and so I had to get up at 6:30 to be able to get him ready for school. But then I had the other kids in tow, and it was just a mess, so I wasn't getting any sleep. So once I got home, I would try to take a nap, wouldn't work out, so I'd eat some chocolate. That's basically my whole year, that year. And I gained huge amounts of weight, way more than I ever should have, way more than I ever thought I would, way more than I had ever committed that I would let myself gain. And it just wore on me so much. I had never been that heavy. And not only did I lose confidence in myself and start feeling bad about myself, but I really felt the weight on my frame. It was, again, harder to walk. It was harder to get up, physically do anything. I couldn't run. I mean, I had my whole life up until that point, I had been a little bit overweight. I was a little chunky. I was never really a thin person, except for little spurts here and there, right after high school. So if you knew me in my first year of college, I'm sure you thought I was thin. But all through the beginning of my marriage, and being in college, and the freshman 15, all that kind of stuff, whatever, I was always a little bit chunky. But this was so different. I really felt heavy. I felt the weight. I felt like standing for too long was just too hard on my body. And then, of course, I didn't feel sexy either. I felt like I looked like a cow. All of my clothes didn't fit, and we were too poor to go buy new clothes that I looked good in, so I just looked messy and frumpy and uncomfortable and stretched at the seams all the time. And it really, really wore on me physically and mentally and emotionally, which impacted every part of my life. It impacted my marriage. My husband's primary love language is physical touch. So that was hard for me when I was feeling overweight like that, when I was overweight and feeling it so much. It also bled into, in a negative way, into my relationship with my kids, because there was friction, and not a whole lot of it, but there was discomfort, I should say, not friction. Like, we weren't like at odds with my husband and I, but there was discomfort in our relationship because I felt uncomfortable. And then that discomfort bled into my relationship with my kids because, I felt comfortable around them. They didn't care if I was fat. But then when my husband would come home, if we were having fun and everything, I would feel embarrassed because I was able to be natural and normal around the kids, but not around my husband. And so then when as a family we'd go out and do things with his family who lived on the street, it was really awkward and uncomfortable in any kind of social setting, especially around his parents, or like at church and stuff. It was just uncomfortable all around. So that bled into other relationships and other areas of my life. There was also a time when, before all the overweight stuff, when I just loathed exercise. Hated it. It was so bad that, and my husband was a long distance runner before I met him. He was super fit, super intense, long, sinewy, had big muscles and huge endurance. He'd like go for an easy 8-mile run and be back in like an hour. And I was not that way. I hated exercise. My form of exercise was marching band when I was younger, or doing gymnastics. And so it was fun, and it wasn't really exercise. It was just me progressing on a personal level to learn new skills and stuff. And I didn't, on purpose, I never thought of it as exercise, but I did those things to stay fit. Anyway, so as an adult, once we were married, he wanted to like push for goals and go to the gym a certain number of times each week and run for X number of hours a week and that kind of stuff. And I tried to be on board with it, but I hated it. I loathed it so much. I actually would get physically pained, like stomach aches and feeling like I was going to throw up, and minor anxiety attacks just thinking about going for a run. But I would push through and do it anyway because I wanted to impress him. I wanted him to feel comfortable. I wanted to not be the weak link in our relationship, and I hated it. And it was so bad. But at the same time, even though I hated the exercise, I really wanted to have fun and adventure in our lives. And we were poor college students, so we couldn't do much. And I wanted to like go for real hikes, not like touristy, sightseeing, kind of walk in the park hikes. Like, I wanted to like mountain climb. I wanted to go horseback riding. I have always dreamed of owning horses and just being like, not like show style horseback riding where the horses are like dancing and stuff. I wanted to be like jumping hurdles and endurance riding and going through the mountains and herding cattle and that kind of like intense adventure kind of stuff. I love skiing. When I was a kid, I lived on a lake. We always had a boat. Water skiing was like one of my favorite things ever. But that is a whole body thing. It works every muscle in your body. And not that we lived on the lake and had access to a boat or anything, but whenever we'd go back to Florida and visit my family, I desperately wanted to go skiing, but I couldn't. I couldn't go snow skiing. I couldn't go water skiing. I couldn't have done endurance horseback riding. I couldn't have really gone hiking or mountain climbing or spelunking or any of the things that I really, really wanted to do because I was so out of shape and I hated exercise. And so there was no hope of me actually like setting goals and getting back into shape. So it really held me back in a lot of ways. It held me back from personal goals and things I wanted to achieve. There was a time when I was a hardcore insomniac. And I talked a little bit about that before with my third baby keeping me up at night. Well, after years and years of being up with kids and each kid being different and them being so close together, our kids are almost literally 2 years the day apart, each one. The first 3 were all born in August and the fourth one was born in September. But we did have a miscarriage in between number 3 and number 4, which put things off a month. And to be honest, it wasn't intentional, it just worked out that way. But we've always thought it was pretty fun and ironic that our kids were born so close together. But they're almost to the day 2 years apart each. And so by the time that one was sleeping through the night, I was pregnant again and uncomfortable and not sleeping because of, acid reflux and just discomfort, all the stuff that goes along with being pregnant. And then we'd have a newborn again, and I go through a year of not sleeping. Our second baby, she was so bad. Oh my gosh. I get PTSD just thinking about her first year, because I kid you not, she only slept for an hour at a time ever until she was 11 months old. And we had other things going on in life too. So it's not like I would sleep for 45 minutes, wake up and take care of her, and then sleep for another 45 minutes, and wake up and take care of her, and sleep for another 45 minutes, and wake up and take care of her. No, I had a 2-year-old who was awake and active all day long. So I only ever slept for an hour at a time for a full year. And my husband was in dental school, so it really was just me, because he was gone 16 hours a day, and then had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So when he was asleep, I was like with the baby outside, taking walks and letting him get his 4 hours of sleep uninterrupted, and then he'd come. He'd leave at 3 a.m. and I would sleep from 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, then 5 to 6, then from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and then my toddler would get up. And it was bad. I was a horrible insomniac for like years, to the point where if I did fall asleep, I would have dreams that something was wrong, and I'd wake up, even if there was nothing wrong. If I did fall asleep, once I did fall asleep, if a dog down the street barked, I would wake up in full panic mode, thinking that something was wrong with the babies. I would fall asleep, and my husband would move next to me, and it would wake me up, because I co-slept with the baby for so long that if I just was always hyper aware of what was going on in my surroundings when I was asleep. And so even once my youngest, even Annabeth, our number 4, even once she was asleep in her own bed, sleeping through the night, 12 hours at a time, if something happened in our house, like the water heater turned on downstairs in the garage on the other side of the house, I would instantly wake up and be like standing, thinking, okay, what do I need to do? And I would have headaches and, like, again, minor anxiety attacks, where I just feel my heart beating so fast, and I didn't really know where I was or who I was or what was going on, but I was awake. And what helped me work through that was everyday exercising. One of my very favorite programs that Beachbody has ever made is Core de Force, that helped me through my pelvic pain, that helped me through my low back pain from carrying babies all the time, that helped me to lose more weight than any other program that I have ever done, that helped me to sleep better at night, because it was super high intensity. I would get all the energy out, and then at the end of the day, I would be able to I was able to get the high intensity interval training. I was able to stretch out my hip. I was able to get better sleep. And then there was a time when I was super fired up. I had a fiery temper, and I would be set off like that, which of course was brought on by sleep deprivation, having minor panic attacks all the time, just not feeling like I was myself, feeling overweight, all those kind of things compounded, and I had a horrible temper for a long time, for a couple of, not, like my whole life, but like for a few years. And it was really hard to manage. But exercising every day, especially doing high intensity exercise every day, made all the difference in the world. To the point where on the weekends, if the kids interrupted my workout or something, my husband would come and shepherd them out, and he would give me a kiss and say, "Don't come back until you have finished your workout. Now go." And he would basically lock me in the garage until I did my workout, because he knew that I would get out all that angst, all that anxiety, all that fire and brimstone that was in me, that was built up and making me feel horrible. I would get it out, and it was through Core de Force that I would do that, and which was just perfect, because it is an MMA style workout. So you're hitting, you're punching, you're kicking. I was imagining that there was like a child abductor in front of me, and I was just beating the snot out of him every single day. And it was great for my psyche, because I was able to get all of that aggression out and then come inside and feel great and ready to love on everybody and be happy again. But I never would have made that shift without pushing daily exercise. I never would have lost the weight without focusing on my nutrition and daily exercise. I never would have started sleeping better at night unless I had gotten every last drop of energy out through intense daily exercise. I never would have started getting up early in the morning if it wasn't because I needed to squeeze in the time to take care of myself. I never would have started doing personal development, reading personal development books, which I thought were hokey for a long time. They were the self-help books, people who needed help. And I didn't need help. But now I've started doing personal development because I know I need it for my health and well-being. And I do it every single day, and it makes all the difference in the world. I have become physically strong, emotionally resilient. I have increased in patience and energy. I have become more self-motivated and more self-accountable, more self-aware. I am generally just a happier person because I started adding exercise and paying more attention to my nutrition every day. And I've started a business, which is not, huge, world altering kind of a business, but I'm earning extra income, a couple $100 a month regularly with, just an hour or two a day of extra work and helping you guys on your journey. I never would have done those things if I hadn't first started by adding daily exercise to my day. I never would have built stronger relationships with my kids and set that example for them for what they should be shooting for in their lives if I hadn't started putting exercise as a priority every day. And I'm not 100%. Today, I'm actually going to turn off this video, and you can see that in the background of my mirror that I have my workout queued up on my TV, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to pick it up later because I'm so tired right now from taking care of my kids this weekend. I thought I could do it, but I am falling to pieces right now because I'm so tired. But I got up, I did my miracle morning, I did my coaching video, I hung out with my husband for a little bit to build that relationship, make sure that it's good. My kids' lunches are packed. The house is fairly clean. I did some laundry. I have done the things I need to do to take care of my own life. And I'm going to pick up the exercise later, and I will let my 2-year-old sit on my shoulders while I do it if I need to get it in once my son is at preschool. And it will be a good day. But right now what I need more of is sleep. So I'm going to actually turn this off, go upstairs and go back to bed for a little while and take care of myself. But I'm going to come back downstairs later and do my exercise. I'm going to pay attention to my nutrition. I'm going to make sure that I am taking care of myself first. And exercise was the gateway to learning how to do that. So I hope you have gleaned something from my stories and my experience. And I promise my life really isn't that bad. But when I stop and think about all the hurdles I've overcome, it's always been health and fitness that was the gateway to those breakthroughs. And I've come through a lot of very small breakthroughs over the past 8 years of being a parent, and a little more than that beforehand, being newlywed and stuff. And I can honestly say that every single time for us, that gateway has been something oriented with health and fitness. Later on in this group, I'll talk to you about my food allergies and how that was a huge breakthrough, and other experiences like that. But I want to promise you that if you will focus on adding in or re-adding health, adding in exercise every day and adding in time to take care of your nutrition every day, your life will change, and in ways that you never thought possible, ways that you never considered, because it is the gateway. You'll get in there and you'll start to feel better about your life and yourself and your body, and all these opportunities will open up, and you'll pick one and you'll run with it, and you'll realize that you need more stability in your life. So you go back to the basics, which is exercise and taking care of your body. And then all these opportunities will open up for you, and you'll pick one and you'll go that direction, and you'll just make little progress steps after little progress steps. And it will always come back to taking care of your body first. I meant to open with this quote. Let me finish with it. This is from Darren O'Lean, who is one of the co-creators of Shakeology. And on his personal website, he says, being healthy matters only because we need good health to have everything else we want. So let me start that again. Being healthy only matters because we need good health to have everything else we want. And then he goes on. Fantastic lives. Happy, positive, balanced, full of passion and energy and love. To live a super life, you need to have good health, because nothing else can happen if you have bad health. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience, but I've also witnessed it in my family and friends and other people that we know. If you have poor health, you limit yourself so much. You have to hold back. And you don't want to hold back. I promise you don't want to hold back. So focus on gaining that good health that foundation on which you can build everything else good that you want in your life. Okay, I'm going to close with that. I'm going to go take a nap. I love you all. Have a fantastic day.